Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Welcome. In this video, we will be calculating all 4 second derivatives for this function given here. This is a function of 2 variables. So first, we need to compute the first derivative. So I want the partial of f with respect to x. Those of you in my course notice that I'm mixing up the notation a bit, and that's on purpose. I want you to get comfortable using different notation and understanding that they are equivalent. So the partial of f with respect to x, we treat y as a constant, and the derivative of the natural log is 1 over the argument, which is xy in this case, times the derivative of the argument now. So this is just times y minus, I'm going to apply the product rule. So the derivative of x is just 1 times e to the 2y plus x times the derivative of e to the 2y, which is 0 as we're treating y as constant. So the partial with respect to x is 1 over x minus e to the 2y. Okay, so now I'm going to take a different route and not go straight into the second partial derivatives. Instead, I'm going to compute the partial of f with respect to y. So this is 1 over xy times x. Since remember, we're taking the derivative with respect to y, that is 1. I'm treating x as constant. Minus, now applying the power rule, the derivative with respect to y of this first x is 0. So I have 0 times e to the 2y plus x times 2e to the 2y. So the partial of f with respect to y is 1 over y minus 2x e to the 2y. Now let's begin with the partial of f with respect to x, its second derivative here. So that's 2x in the, Now let's compute the second partial derivative with respect to x. So not a mixed derivative here. So this is negative 1 over x squared. And the derivative of e to the 2y with respect to x is just 0. Now for the partial with respect to y, so the second partial derivative with respect to y here, this one's going to look a little more interesting since we do have y's here, whereas we did not have x's here. So we end up with negative 1 over y squared minus 2 times 0 times e to the 2y. I'm treating x as a constant and applying the product rule, plus 2x times 2e to the 2y. So this is negative 1 over y squared plus, let's distribute that negative, minus 4x e to the 2y. Now for the mixed derivatives, the partial of f with respect to x, then y. Well, that's the partial with respect to y of 1 over x minus e to the 2y. That's equal to negative 2 e to the 2y. Now let's do the same thing here, the partial of y with respect to x. And really, you know what it's going to be. It's going to be this derivative as well. But especially as you're just beginning, compute it twice. Check your own work this way. If you get a different answer, you know you've made a mistake. So this is the partial with respect to x of 1 over y minus 2x e to the 2y. So this is 0 minus 2e to the 2y, which is just negative 2e to the 2y. Okay, I'm going to recap all these partial derivatives in red. So the partial of f with respect to x, that's fx, is equal to 1 over x minus e to the 2y. The partial of f with respect to y is equal to 1 over y minus 2x e to the 2y. The partial of f with respect to xy, so the one of the two mixed derivatives. Well, this is equal to negative 2e to the 2y. And finally, the partial of f with respect to y with respect to x, which is the other mixed derivative, is identical. Negative 2e to the 2y. Okay, so whatever you do, please remember to keep calm and math on.